welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. If you're new, if you are new to my channel for the first time based on the title of this video, this is the 6th video I've done in this series. So I film like a recap at the end of every 8 weeks that I'm on the shots. Technically, this is 7.5 weeks into my 4th round. So just because I upload on Sundays, I'm a little bit early on that, but I will fill in all the gaps for you. But I do encourage you, if you have questions about like my specific journey with it, and if it matches what you're kind of going through, go back and go through those videos. I'll link the playlist above. I'll link the individual videos throughout this one if it helps you, whatever works. I say that mainly to reduce how long this video could be. So assuming you watched the 5th video, the end of the 30 weeks, I'm just going to pick up where I left off. I had gone in at the end of the 8 weeks and I had been plateaued for 14 weeks. I had lost 19 pounds in the 10 weeks prior to that and kind of went up and down 1 to 3 pounds, but never really went lower than 19 down. So I was just kind of done. And I'd gone in and was like, okay, I don't really want to do this again. I don't really find any value in this. I had the issues that I had. I knew that my weight gain had been hormonal. So I was assuming there was some issue, with my body's receiving the semaglutide effectively, or basically my insulin resistance, to some degree. Having hormonal weight gain, I automatically have to look at things a little differently because of how I gained the weight. Okay, so my nurse, knowing that, and also knowing I had already begun my hormonal kind of journey, like getting my hormones fixed and taking HRT and, all of the other things that I could be doing. And I'm taking like I've said in the other videos, I'm taking a very all hands on deck approach. She told me that's fine if you want, do whatever you want to do, but just so you know, we have started carrying Tirzepatide, which is compounded mounjaro, or I don't know, mounjaro. Everybody I know says mounjaro, so I'm going with that. And if you would like to know more, I'm happy to tell you. And I said, go for it. She said, it has the big difference that we're noticing is that with people like clients like yourself that have, kind of were doing great at the beginning, we're moving and then just stopped. They have had tremendous success on this because it works differently. I touched on this a little bit in the 5th video I did, just saying the way I look at it is the longer I'm on these shots, the more kind of support I'm giving my body to sustain the weight loss and to sustain, everything that it's doing, just to kind of keep everything moving in the right direction. So I didn't necessarily want to just quit cold turkey for the sake of it. It was mainly because I just wasn't seeing any benefit. So with what she was telling me, and it was a much longer thing, but what she was telling me, I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. It can't hurt, right? So I did that. Now I will tell you out the gate, the dosage is way different. So a 2.4 in semaglutide, which is what I was on for the majority of the 24 weeks. I can't remember how many specifically, but it was the majority. That is the equivalent, my understanding is that is the equivalent of 12 or 12.5 in mounjaro, Tirzepatide. So they bumped me up, that's what I'm on. They bumped me to 15, which would be another level up. And so I just was on 15 for 8 weeks. Okay, so let's get to the numbers, the fun stuff, the totals, and then I'm gonna kind of walk it back to kind of fill in blanks for you. Total loss since I started my shots. So I'm 31 and a half weeks technically into this program. I'm down a total of 41.6 pounds. Total inch lost off my waist, 5.2 to 5.7. I can't remember which one it was when I started. I stupidly did not put that note down. So it's either the 0.2 or the 0.7, but it's 5.2 or 5.7 now. The loss I've had in the last 7.5 weeks, which is specifically on the Tirzepatide versus semaglutide, 22 pounds. So let me tell you, 22 pounds versus 19 and more time. My waist inch loss in the last 7.5 weeks is 2 inches. And side effects, 0, not 1. So that begs to ask, what's different? What else are you doing? This is where I pause to state it's really important to remind you that this journey for me was hormonal. So I don't know what yours necessarily looks like, but just so you have a full picture of what I was going through and what I'm doing to help my body and help myself, let's talk about it. So what else am I doing? So for one, I'm doing intermittent fasting. So I keep a 12 to 14 hour window on that. Typically it's 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. If it's just me, I'll kick it earlier so I can have 14 hours. That is set based on my being perimenopausal. That's the main reason why I'm doing it. Another thing I'm doing when I break my fast is I drink AG1 in the morning. So it's the first thing I have, and then I have my coffee. Another thing I'm doing is I'm drinking less. So without making this video about this, just to kind of touch on it, I am primarily a wine drinker, and we're probably gonna put a vineyard in on our farm. So it's not something I necessarily want to kick. It's like really at all. I really enjoy it, but I did want to practice more moderation because with hormones, it crosses your blood-brain barrier. And this, like I keep bringing up the hormonal health because everything I'm doing is to support my hormonal health, right? And the thing that as I was learning about, how you navigate whatever stage of menopause that you're in, that's pretty critical, like your blood-brain barrier. That's if it's doing that, you've caused a trauma to the brain. And then if you don't have additional fat in your system to help repair it, it's this whole thing. And I'm like, and I have enough going on in my life that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that. So I was listening to a doctor who specializes in this. She has a podcast. If I can remember, I'll link it below. But she had this great interview with a doctor that has specialized, like taught the DOD how to help soldiers come back, like brain health and how to repair a brain, all this kind of stuff. So that was pretty, eye-opening. So what it made me do is it made me cut down on drinking. So like basically, unless I'm on vacation, I really try to go a couple, like, this sounds bad, like 2 to 3 days a week without drinking. Just to kind of help break the nightly glass of wine habit. And then I'm going to keep trying to push it. So it just feels less of I don't necessarily want that ritual anymore. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean? Like I don't really find that habit serving me anymore. Let's just leave it that way. Something else I do every single night is I drink a glass of red raspberry leaf tea that I make myself. I make like a concentrate and I bottle it and I stick it in my fridge. And I drink a glass of it every single night. That is also supposed to help with female hormone health. Another thing I'm doing is I've dialed in my sleep routine and like my PM routine. They tell you with hormone health that your number one thing needs to be your sleep. Like if you're going to start anywhere, start with your sleep. And I can tell you, since I've really prioritized my sleep and my nighttime routine and everything, my God, what a game changer. And I really believe it has, once I really got into the rhythm, this is what I'm doing. And I'm pretty cutthroat about it. I do not like when I'm not on it. If we're out a little too late or whatever, it does not make me happy. I'm pissy. That's how important it is to me. And I can tell you, but from my personal body and my journey and all of the things, right? My mental clarity and how I'm feeling, game changer. So that's something that was worth mentioning to you. 2 other things I've done. One, I went low carb. Again, hormone health primarily. When you're in perimenopause and have my docket of stuff, they kind of really advise low carb. So I would not call myself keto. I don't count macros for one. I don't enjoy that kind of tracking. It makes me feel neurotic and it makes me feel like I'm caged. You know what I mean? You're playing that stupid game. Well, this is my experience. It feels like this. I'm a perfectionist and I'm very analytical and I'm very goal-oriented and driven and all that stuff, right? So knowing that about me, putting me in a situation where it's here's your numbers. It is damn near impossible to be a sane person in a family with any sort of social life being on keto. Other people can do it. I am too self-competitive. And I just was listening to Brene Brown. I was listening to a podcast with her. She said she's an abstainer, not a moderator. That's me. I would just rather not. So it's one of those things where if I really tracked it, I'd be like literally no fun, you know, and I don't really want to be that kind of person, at least right now. And then lastly, I exercise most days. So having fixed my hormones was so, like, I credit that entirely with this. I had no energy. I had no energy. I had no stamina. My endurance was crap. Everything had gone away. So I am somebody who, prior to all of my hormone stuff, worked out pretty much every day. Okay, so all of that I'm doing, right? And I know that can seem like a lot, but I need, like, I actually, I mentioned this to the nurse and to the tech when I was just in. It is so important that I think it's really worth mentioning. You're doing this for health. You're not doing this, well, you do this for whatever you're doing this for, but like, I'm doing this for health. I'm doing this to get back to who I was, feeling the way I did, feeling good about myself, feeling good about my own skin, all of that. Now, that's not as simple as just taking shots for the rest of my life. I have to dial everything else in too, right? And then also being mindful of, like, this weight gain was hormonal. So I need to address like that root cause and get all of that stuff sorted. So then when I do, you know, phase off, whatever that looks like, we're not there yet, I can maintain. So I think it's really worth mentioning that, like, it's again, all hands on deck, multi-pronged approach, right? Let's walk through my weeks. I want to speak specifically, I know I talked about numbers a little bit ago, but I want to speak specifically about my numbers and what a difference I have seen semaglutide versus mounjaro. I have an InBody analysis. Again, if you didn't see the other ones, I highly encourage you to go somewhere that'll do an InBody scan on you, because it tells you a ton. So just specifically, since I've been on mounjaro, I'm down 2.9 pounds in skeletal muscle mass, which is kind of fine. And I'm down 3.8% body fat, which is crazy in a good way. So we're doing really good on that. So my numbers are looking really good. My body, so they want you to have like a certain amount of lean mass, a certain amount of body water, all that kind of stuff. They've kudos me on that. So like my muscle mass really, I gotta be honest with you, looking at the first week, that was the highest it had ever been. So I was also heavy that day. I had weighed in heavier that day. So interesting. So to circle back, the that high for the skeletal muscle mass, that had been a bit of an anomaly, because I went right back down to what I normally was at, which has maintained, which is pretty amazing. And then my body fat's reduced significantly over time. So I'm now at a point where my BMI is looking better. Let's put it that way. And then my body fat percentage, we're getting somewhere. So we're like, yeah, we're doing pretty well. Again, I'm not sharing my specific like numbers, because I delete all the negative comments and I don't need any of that shit. So it's hard enough, you know what I mean? So yeah, but I will tell you that the drop from mounjaro is so much more significant in terms of the fat loss than semaglutide ever was for me. That's like my main point in highlighting that. It's way different. So I kind of just, like, my numbers historically would kind of wiggle a little bit and maybe drop 1 or 2, but they were never dropping like 4. You know what I mean? 3.8 to 4 in one go. That hadn't happened. So, and then maintaining the muscle and all of the other, like, and my water is still, like, all of my numbers look great. So they were like, dude, you're fucking crushing it, which made me really happy to hear. So I want to walk through the weeks on that, because with semaglutide, I'd had like some weeks were fine, some weeks were not so fine. I can tell you on mounjaro, the only week that I didn't like technically lose any weight, because I was in London. And I actually it's the only time I've ever traveled with my scale. I took the scale because I like am really, you know, I'm tracking all this stuff, right? So it's kind of amazing though. I was completely eating out, and I, you know, was drinking, and I'm in a different time zone and all that stuff, right? Came home and just dropped like 5 pounds in a week. Like, it was like poof. Like, my body was just like, and it's off. You know, it was awesome. But it's been steady. I've consistently lost 3 to almost 5 pounds a week. So down 22 in 7.5 weeks, really 6.5 because I didn't lose any in London. That's great, right? That's almost, it's like between 3 and 4 pounds a week. I'm 5'4.5". That is unreal for somebody my size. That is unbelievable. And it's been consistently every single week. Okay, so let's talk through pros and cons because there are both. So in terms of pros, I would say the number one pro in my book is that it's much more effective for me. And I have zero side effects, like zero side effects, and have not noticed a single thing. It is, I can't speak highly enough. And it's such a weirdly different experience than semaglutide was for me, because semaglutide was like, oh, you know, kind of, sort of. And like some weeks I'd do really well, but then like my fat would be weird because I was constipated, right? Now, like everything looks great. The other thing that I would say that's really nice about it is you feel, and I should asterisk this with, if you're eating correctly, like you have to prioritize your protein. That's why I'm not really doing keto. You have to do protein to protect your muscle. You're like really okay. Like I am still, I am genuinely, it's not that I'm not hungry or anything like that. It's like, you just feel like you know your body. You know what I mean? Like there's just this sort of like, okay, yeah, I think I'm going to be hungry around, like for me, it's like typically 3:30, I'll start to feel it. And then I want dinner. So I want to know what, like I'm either making it or we're going, and I want to be there at 5 o'clock. Or I want dinner on the table between 5 and 5:30. So I want to be done by 6:30, right? But I think that's something that's awesome, because that was really, and it might change, but for me on semaglutide, that was really fluid. It started off that way and then it faded as you dialed up. Whereas this is just steady, like super consistent. Now, cons, it's much more expensive. So there's different tiers. I'm at the highest tier because I'm at the highest dose, and I'm on that dose every single week. So that's really worth stating. And I have no idea what the pricing is wherever you go. But what I will tell you is that, again, I've lost more in 7.5 weeks than I did it, like in one go of mounjaro, than I did in 3 rounds of semaglutide. So in terms of like time efficiency, this pistol whips semaglutide. It's also currently more cost effective as far as weight loss per pound is. So that's worth mentioning. But to each their own, and like, I have no idea what it's like. You know what I mean? Like there's so many variables from what I've heard. My advice to you is, if you're struggling on semaglutide, or if you're insulin resistant, or you're having hormonal weight gain, or anything like that, that makes you maybe a little bit of an atypical semaglutide patient, I would encourage you to look into Tirzepatide or mounjaro, which is the same thing. I would really encourage you to do that, because I wish I had recorded Danielle explain this, because there is something different about it versus Ozempic, Wegovy, semaglutide. The GLP-1, I want to say H something, there's like this other thing that it does. And that's what strong arms my system, I think. I don't know. But seriously, like, when you hear all these people talk about like, oh my God, it's so great, let me tell you, and then you're over here like dropping like nothing, it's really disheartening. And you're also like, I have to do this every freaking week, and it's like taking time out of my day and all this shit. I don't want to deal with that anymore. This is what the other one should have been for me. And I'm so happy. So my goal, I will tell you going forward, I want to do one more round. I've got Monday is my first shot of my 5th round, and then we'll see where I end up. And then I either do, my birthday is in like a month and a half. So I'm like really curious to see where I end up on my birthday. Cause I'm down 41.6, 22 in 7.5 weeks. So I'm like, well, like how smoking can I get by my birthday? You know what I mean? Like, so I've had the most emotionally devastating year of my life. So I'd really like to like start a new year looking like a smoke show. That'd be kind of fun. We'll see. We'll see where I land there. And then if I do another round, I'll let you know. But you know, you're on this journey with me, so I don't know yet. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to state, I want to end on this. I did film when I went into the clinic this week. So if you want to see what my experience looks like every time I go in. This is a very normal experience for me. I filmed it for you. Oh, sorry. I just realized how bad So my birthday is in just under 2 months. So I'm thinking, I think it's like around the 7th shot.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the last shot, whatever. Close enough to the end.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I wanna see like if I can maintain like this kind of trajectory.
Yeah, totally.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I could be, and that's what I was talking to Jeremy about. I was like, if the most emotionally devastating year of my life concludes with me being on a smoke show by my birthday, I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's a shitty way to do it, but yeah.
Weight measurement is completed.
Okay.
Confirm your personal info. Place your heel on the rear sole electrodes. Keep your arms straight. Your arms must not touch the sides of your body. Starting your InBody test.
How many times a day do you listen to this little song?
Too many.
Do you have
Holy shit.
Do you have your
You
dreams?
were
The test is completed.
Do what?
That's jeans and a shirt.
Yeah, I weighed myself this morning after I worked out because I'm like obsessed with this, right? And then want to clothes on because I want to see. So I'm actually, it's like I got a pee, so that's a half a pound of pee. And we'll get this though. And then, so it's all hormonal, right? So I'm doing all these hormonal things like to support my hormone health at the same time. So I'm on hormones. I'm on some modified kind of keto thing.
It's like a freaking mountain slope.
I love a knee shot. I've got no issues. My energy's coming back.
You're done. Oh my god. Holy shit.
You should see my legs.
Dude.
Like Jeremy came in the other day and was like,
Are you taking progress photos?
no. He came in the other day and I was like on the sofa in my robe, reading or doing whatever I was doing, and he's like,
Looking sexy.
he's like, dude, your legs.
Dude, your
My legs normally look great, and they haven't been. And he's like, and I am when pre-runner.
We're almost
So that's
there.
5 until
We're getting
pre-runner.
past that.
And
We're
then,
we're
I was
just
like-
speeding cat. Bye.
I was like,
That's just a pit stop.
how low safely and like within. I don't want to be like
Totally.
concerned, but like
As
let's fucking go.
seriously as low as you are committed to.
Let's do it.
I mean,
Because this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
these new ones, love.
right.
But I am like,
Well, I
I
mean-
intermittent fast. I do all this stuff. I do all kinds of things to support it. But I feel like all hands on deck is the best
Yeah.
approach. Because it's, and this is the thing I was saying in the video, is like, if you eliminate the shot, you have to support that weight loss.
Right,
So
exactly.
if you don't have the habits built in,
I was gonna say significantly,
yeah,
you are a perfect candidate because you're
Doing
tracking macros, you're working out, you're exercising daily, you're doing your movement,
Movement,
right?
yeah.
I mean, like even gardening, getting
Yeah.
outside, walking,
yeah,
standing when you would normally be sitting. I mean,
Right.
just like getting more movement, making sure your body is moving constantly, like it's a game changer. Like,
Well, I think it's interesting how people don't, like how skewed people's perception of health is.
totally.
You know what I mean? Where it's like,
But it's not
no.
it's not black and white. I mean,
No.
it is like a spectrum of whatever works for you.
Right. But
So-
also like,
But
also it's always,
I mean, just like
every old person tells you
consistency is going to, I mean,
it's ever surpassed that habit.
It's yeah, exactly.
It's all about the habit, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so the facts finally come. So I'm officially like,
Girl, it's you're running
but
out.
this is where I was like, no, so, well, you can't really tell them this stuff, but like,
Oh, I
okay,
can't.
I'm coming back.
Girl,
Yeah,
you look comfortable.
I feel comfortable.
You look like
Yeah,
I
my
can fucking
thighs
breathe.
don't
Like I can just like be
just
me, like
stroking all the time.
unapologetically doing my own thing, just finally living. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting
love
there.
it.
So this might be like, oh my god, there we go, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, so how about that, right? So in one round of this shot, I'm down almost 4% body fat.
Yeah.
3.8% body fat. My muscle mass is so good. My body water is still awesome.
It's
And I
really
dropped
good. Look at
legitimately.
you.
I know. That's why I'm like, this is what I've been saying
I
this
want
whole
to
time
compare
now,
your
right?
first. Do you have your first one?
I think so.
Okay, good. You should.
Yeah.
I tried to.
All right, y'all. That's it. If you have any questions or anything for me, leave me a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I will see you, if you just follow this series, I'll see you in about 8 more weeks. And yeah, I want to hear how your journeys are going though too. This is like my favorite thing about this series is that the comments are so interesting. Like everybody's got their thing. And the thing that I specifically get a lot about is like, oh, I'm in a hormonal situation as well. And that just encourages me so much to keep going because I know how just crazily frustrating and stressful it is. So I'm happy to have a conversation with you. So please leave me comments below. I'm happy to answer them. And yeah, I just really want to know how it's going for y'all and if you're having success as well, or if you've got any other things that have really worked for you. You know, like this is the point of this. It's a conversation to support other women going through life, you know? So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see y'all very soon. Bye.